college football is just around the corner with a few games, notably the Illinois-Nebraska matchup kicking off college football Saturday, the 26th of August, in what is known as Week 0. Today I'm going to be talking about all of these games, mainly the Nebraska-Illinois matchup, discussing if I think these teams if certain teams should be favored, and if I think they'll do better than anticipated against their opponents here. I am not, keep in mind, a betting odds expert, so if you're here to assume that I am going to make a great pick for you, this is really my first year of just really making any sort of predictions for every team in general, so be wary of my advice. I'm just here to talk and report. So let's just get it kicked off. Nebraska against Illinois. Nebraska is favored by 7 points. One site has them favored by 9.5, which I think is the more accurate favoring. I think Nebraska will win by more than 7 points. Illinois returns more starters, and they return more offensive starters, more super seniors. I do think Brett Bielema has a decent load to work with. There is certainly the chance he goes bowling in his first year, but I actually have them going 4-8 and only winning 2 games in conference against Purdue and against a Northwestern team that, in all honesty, Northwestern returning so few starters as they are is never a good thing for Pat Fitzgerald. He just doesn't have the exact talent to work around in a rebuilding year to do anything extraordinary at the moment. So Illinois, I don't really have them being a good team this year. Nebraska will not be the greatest either, but I think they'll go bowling. They'll probably upset some teams here and there along the road and such, in all honesty. They do. I think Nebraska has a chance in almost every game it plays in to cause some chaos, and I do think they will beat Illinois, and I do not think that game will be the closest game. I think Nebraska will win by likely double digits. This will be Scott Frost's best team ever, and that's mainly because the offense has stayed the same, which is not a good thing, but the defense is massively improved, and that will allow him to really beat up on smaller schools or schools that don't have as much talent as, per se, like Ohio State or Penn State or Michigan, the teams that get talent and can kind of shove talent down your throats. So I do think, again, Nebraska wins this one, likely by more than a touchdown. And now, Uconn and Fresno State. Just to put it simple here, Uconn is a gutter trash football team. They're absolutely gutter trash. They are a trash can full of dog poop that has been sitting there for a month. Uconn is in no position to win any game in FBS football. They just aren't. I mean, really, Randy Edsall seems to be getting near the point where he should probably, seemingly no disrespect to him, but he's 80-100. 80-100. He has a losing record total at Uconn. And since he returned there in 2017, he's only won 6 games. Six games, yes, over the course of 3 years, while losing 30. He's 6-30. Really 6-30 in his past 3 years, and that's not including 2020 because they had no team because of COVID. They've only won 2 conference games in the American Athletic Conference. Uconn in 2021, they do not have the most challenging schedule, but in all honesty, I don't think they're going to struggle to beat anyone besides Holy Cross on their schedule. And Fresno State under Kalen DeBoer, they had a 50% win record last year. They beat Colorado State, UNLV, and Utah State, who were some of the worst teams in the Mountain West. They even lost to New Mexico. Not off to the greatest start, but I do think that they will beat up on Uconn very early, and I actually do think that they will win by more than the 27.5 points that everyone thinks they will win by. Fresno State at minimum will probably win by 4 touchdowns, which will still cover the spread, if not more They will beat up on Uconn in the opener. Hawaii and UCLA, listen, Todd Grantham has had some good years at other places, but Chip Kelly at UCLA seems to be on the rise. Chip Kelly, I believe, will be, his 4th season. So the rebuild of UCLA, if there is any rebuilding and it's not a farce, it should be next to complete this year. He's at a 10-21 record, and last year, while he did finish 5th in the South, they almost beat USC, they almost beat Oregon, and they solidly beat California, Arizona, and beat Arizona State by 7 points. And all the teams they lost to had winning records. Colorado, Oregon, USC, and Stanford. And Colorado at some point was ranked too. So they had probably one of the harder schedules in the Pac-12. I do have them in my top 25. They will crush Hawaii by more than the 17 points most people predict. Another website has them at 9.5. The website's name is Opening. I'm using OddsShark. It has multiple different websites laying out multiple different spreads, and some of them are obviously different. I do think UCLA will cover the spread, and again, not the expert here, but UCLA has better talent than Hawaii. And I do think Chip Kelly's a better head coach than Todd Grantham, and I'm very high on UCLA this year. Just better all around. And Utep versus New Mexico State is the second to last game. Then we only have really one more game. And then the game after that on September 1st, I'd probably count that as a week 1 game. Utep versus New Mexico State. Listen, New Mexico State here. I think they went 1-1. Yes, 1-1. And they played an FCS schedule here. They lost to Tarleton State, who was 5-3 in the FCS Independence. 5-3, 43-17. And they only beat Dixie State, who went 2-3 with a losing record and plays in a conference with no ranked opponents in the FCS. They only beat them by 7 points. New Mexico State is just as bad, if not worse, than Uconn, seemingly. And that is disgusting. That is absolutely sad. So UTEP, while I believe his name is Dana Dittmel, is on the hot seat and they are not doing well, I will assure you it is highly unlikely that he will, Dana Dittmel, it is very unlikely that he will be fired in his first game. They will beat New Mexico State. I don't know about covering the spread here. I mean, it seems like I'm favoring everyone to cover the spread. The game that is least likely for the favored team to cover the spread is Nebraska, Illinois. I don't see how Uconn is covering the Fresno State spread. Don't see how Hawaii will cover the UCLA spread. And I don't see how New Mexico State will cover the UTEP spread. And UTEP's only favored by about 9 to 8.5 points. And looking at how terrible New Mexico State is, I mean, UTEP's bad, but I don't think they're that bad. And then the final game, San Jose State and Southern Utah, which according to this website has no available odds. And I'm just going to say that San Diego State will win here. They did very well last year, and I do think they return a great amount of starters, namely especially at the quarterback position, probably the most important on the offense. No debate on that. And they return them. So I do think San Jose State will win as well. So every team that is favored or should be favored will win in week 0. But you never know. Maybe Brett Bielema pulls off the signature upset. Maybe Uconn goes on a crazy run like some other teams in the 2007 season, and maybe Hawaii or New Mexico State kind of resurge themselves. You never know, and that's the beauty of college football. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can watch more of my videos. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you around.